This is Jon Acosta Productions. Welcome to Tutorial Tuesdays, where we go over the latest in Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, and Adobe After Effects to save you time and let your workflow be a little more efficient and also make you money in the process. Last week we actually talked about how to use AutoDuck. Today we're going to talk about green screening inside of After Effects so that we can jump right back into Final Cut Pro and edit that footage efficiently. So let's jump right into After Effects now and get right to it. Alright, so since we already went through how to get our green screen footage from Final Cut into After Effects last week, we're going to go ahead and jump right into After Effects. And if you have any questions, by the way, on that whole workflow, you can go to our video, just click on the link that's currently showing on the screen, and it'll take you right back there to start. But once we're in After Effects, we're going to go ahead and jump right into our footage and take a look at how we can manipulate the green screen in the background. I'm going to show you guys how to, first of all, take out the green screen, key the green screen essentially, and then from there, do some color correction on her so that she looks a little bit better in the frame. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to our Effects and Presets tab over here on the right, and we're going to do a quick search for the Keylight. It allows us to easily key out the green. Now, Final Cut Pro has a couple of filters that you can actually use to try this out as well, but it's a lot harder to manipulate, and you don't have as much control as you would in the Keylight app. So now that we've actually applied it, all we've done is grabbed it, dragged it, and dropped it onto our footage up here in our actual composition, or we can actually come down to the timeline and drop it into the clip, the particular clip that we're going for. I've gone ahead and done it here. Boom, he's in. Whoops, did it twice. All right, so here he is, Keylight, and here is our subject, Marie. What we're going to do first is go into this screen color droplet, and we're going to give it a click. By clicking on it, we now can choose whatever green we want and filter it out within the actual frame. Now, a little tip to give you is on the right here, the Info tab has the red, green, blue RGB information, and as you sift through the footage, and I'm just kind of scrolling my mouse over the actual frame, you see the green is getting higher and then lower and up and down. The key is really to take the most green you can, and as I kind of sift through, you see how it's going to 198 and then 200 and up and down. Look for the highest color of green you can find on this actual clip. When you find it, click on it, and it'll instantly take out all the green. So once again, we're going to go over to our Keylight now that we've implemented onto our clip. Take the little droplet that we see here, give it a click, move on over to our clip, look for the most green you can find on the screen, and we can see that information over here on the Info tab. As you see the letter G next to it, there's a number that keeps moving as I move the mouse. Look for the highest number you can find, which means that that's the most amount of green in the frame, and as soon as you find it, give it a click. I think it's 206 that I'm getting the most of. Give it a click, and boom, now all of that green has been keyed out. But wait, there's actually more. You're going to come over to the left here, and here's how you really can get the best out of your green screening. Under the View tab here, we have Final Results, which we're currently seeing as we speak. We see Marie and we see the black background. But what we can actually do is by clicking on this drop-down menu, we have the ability to see a screen mat. We can see the actual alpha channel of the clip. So by that I mean everything that's black is going to be see-through, and we can put anything behind it, and since it's transparent at this point, we can actually have a background of whatever we want. Now, unfortunately, as we turn on the screen mat, we see that there are some areas that are white, which will affect us putting a background in a little bit later on, so we want to go ahead and take care of that now. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that using this Keylight app, or this Keylight filter. So come on over to the left, and if you see here we have the screen mat option, we can give it a click, and we have clip white and clip black, which we can choose from. I would start with the black and then move down to the white, and notice how I'm just clicking on these little arrows, which will bring us a little drop down arrow where we can kind of come in and sift through the amount of black and white that we're taking out. Start with the black, and I'm going to go ahead and crank it up a bit. Notice as I crank it, it's going to begin taking out some of that black, making a bit more of the frame transparent. And it's doing a great job. As you see, this right here is becoming more and more transparent as I crank it more and more up. Okay, great. So now we're going to come down to the white, and notice how, if you see here, there is a little bit of questionable subject, like her hair, for instance. It's looking a little bit more gray than it is fully white. This will be a problem in the near future as we key out, because when we put a backdrop in, her hair is going to basically become transparent, and we don't really want that. We want it to look real. We don't want it to look like she's a hologram. So I'm going to go ahead and take this white and bring it down a bit, which is going to tell After Effects to go ahead and hold on to more and more of that information and fill it in with more and more white. So now we happen to see a backward silhouette of a person and then an alpha channel or a background that's black. Great. come back up to your view where it says screen matte and turn this back into final results, and boom, we now have a fully keyed out clip that looks fantastic for right now. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in our backdrop, because we're not going to get the full effect until we actually put in what we want to see in the background and see if it actually all worked out. One thing to note too, as we kind of review real quick, we've already taken out the green, we've changed out the screen matte for black and white, great, and we used our view tool in the screen matte to do so, which is wonderful. I would actually make sure that you add a pre-blur on all of your green screening effects. Pre-blur is basically going to take the edges of Marie here, and it's going to add a little bit of a blur, a slight blur that we would normally see on any video, just so that it looks more believable and less like it was cropped into a green screen. Okay, next step is to go back to our project menu and look for whatever gradient or whatever backdrop we're going to put in. I actually already have one set in here, so I'm going to go ahead and drag it and drop it into our timeline down here. Let go, and boom, here it is. Wonderful. It's a gray and white gradient. It looks pretty good. But what we're going to do next, we notice a couple of problems. The first one is that we still see some lines on her coat here, which looks very unbelievable. So we're going to fix that in a moment. And secondly, the gradient isn't as big as the actual frame, which is 1920 by 1080. So what we'll do is we'll take the edge of this gradient here, and we're going to stretch it out. Boom. There. Now it looks great. So again, all I've done is taken the little edge here and just stretched it out as far as I could on the frame, and boom, it looks a lot better than it did before, where she's just solely taken the center. The next step, of course, is to take care of these lines on her coat. So what we're going to do is jump right back into this clip that we have here, and we're going to jump into the effects panel on this clip. So here we are back in the Keylight, and if you guys don't know how to do that, again, it's up here in this tab. We have the project tab, and then since we're selected on this particular clip, we have our effects tab. If we scroll over to the left here, right here. Okay, so again, everything we've done with Keylight looks great. My biggest tip to fix that kind of situation is to add in a shrink and grow adjustment, which is right here. If you give this little arrow a click, it brings down our controller so that we can move it back and forth. Now what we're doing essentially is shrinking down her coat, or what we see of her coat, what's exposed of it, and it's getting rid of that black line that was once there. Looks great. And because we have that screen pre-blur of 0.02 up top like we did before, it's giving that little bit that we took out a little bit of a blur, which makes it look more believable and more real, instead of a chopped up coat where she looks like she's losing her arm for a split second. So these little tips are definitely something you want to take note of. Again, screen pre-blur is going to be 0.02. Your black and your whites, you want to make sure to adjust using the, again, screen matte, which is right up here, to make sure you key out everything properly and appropriately. And lastly, the screen shrink and grow aspect. Usually, in most cases, you want to shrink your subject because it allows you to take out the lines that are actually there that you don't want to be there. So great, this is looking really cool. I'm digging it. Oh, one little thing, we actually might want to take our backdrop and stretch it a bit. So stretching it out some, boom, okay. Make sure that it's all fully covered. The last thing I want to show you guys how to do is to add a little bit of color correction or color gradient on this, because she does look a little blown out, and her coat, for instance, is falling into just randomness in the white in the background. So let's fix this now by adding some color, and the way we can do this is by going to, again, to our Effects and Presets tab and searching for the Curves filter or effect. When I type in curves, I suddenly see color correction under the color correction tab, a curves option. So we're going to, again, drag this onto our subject, and boom, it now adds on the left into our effects tab the curves effect. My biggest tip to start is to take it from the kind of the near bottom, which are going to be the darks of your picture, and just stretch it down a bit. And as you do, you're going to see a lot of the blacks being crushed inside of your clip and bringing it back to life, giving it a little bit more color. You know, when you're working with green screen and you start keying with a Keylight, you do lose a lot of that saturation, so you want to add that back in by using something like the curves effect. I'm going to go up top and kind of add a little bit, bring it a little bit down as well so it's not so blown out, and we're looking pretty good. Now notice how as I did move these curves, we are seeing those lines come back in, so we might want to jump back up to the Keylight and adjust accordingly, most specifically the shrink and grow aspect, just so that we can kind of kill that line coming in. You don't want to pull it too much because then you'll be losing a lot of detail on the coat, but you do want to go ahead and play with it as much as you can to make it just as perfect as possible. Looks pretty good. Cool. Now, when you're happy and satisfied with all of the things that you've done with a particular clip inside of After Effects, the next step is definitely to take these changes that you've made or these effects that you've added, and you basically just want to copy and paste them onto every other clip, because as you notice in your timeline, every cut that you've made in Final Cut is shown by a separate individual clip or separate individual track inside of Adobe After Effects. So the best tip that I can give you to do this would be to actually start with the first clip in your timeline, make the adjustments using the Effects tab or adding the effects and whatnot, and then copy and paste every single one of these effects and curves into the rest of the clips. And the best way to do that, I would suggest, and After Effects was beautiful for doing this, take the effects and copy them both. The way we would do this is click on the Effects tab, hold your Command key if you're on a Mac, or Control if you're on a Windows computer, and hit the letter A for all. It'll select everything. Then Command C or Control C if you're on a PC will copy both the keylight and the curves that you have on this individual clip. Okay? Command copy or Control copy. Next, go down to your clips, click on the next one up, the next clip up, and then scroll all the way to the top and hold your Shift key. This works both on PC and Mac. Your Shift key and click, which will select every single one of the clips above the one we just worked with. So now you see I have every single one of these guys clicked and ready to rock. And all I have to do at this point is click on the Effects tab and then hit Command V, and voila, I am all of a sudden adding this clip or this change that I've made to that one clip to every single one of the other clips inside of After Effects. So I can skim through this entire project at this point, and I can see all the changes made to every single one of the clips, not just that one that I was working on. So pretty cool stuff, right? We've saved ourselves a lot of time from implementing that clip to every single one of them, or implementing those effects to every single one of the clips, and in doing so, it looks marvelous. Yeah! And there you have it, guys. I hope that helped out with all of your green screen endeavors in After Effects. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask. Just comment below or even send me a personal message. And also, stay tuned next week when we actually talk about taking that green screen footage and implementing it right back into Final Cut Pro using that Autodesk app, and then from there, making your footage look a little more interesting using keyframes. Make sure to subscribe up top so you can see the latest and greatest updates and tips and tricks. Hope to see you guys soon, and Godspeed.